Tonight, the Prime Minister's cabinet shuffle overshadowed by renewed calls for his resignation. Uncertainty for an embattled Justin Trudeau and his minority government.
We have a lot of work to do.
The new election threat from the NDP and Conservatives.
I will be writing the Governor General, asking her to urgently reconvene Parliament.
What German police are learning about a driver who slammed into a crowded Christmas market, leaving death and destruction in his wake. The mystery over the disappearance of flight MH370, why the search is back on. Also, where are holiday shoppers spending the most this time of year?
It's crazy, and there's like shoulder to shoulder. I'm just getting rocked around like I'm playing hockey.
Plus, celebrating the magic of Christmas with Santa. Bringing joy and wonder to the hearts of children in Manitoba's remote communities.
So we're bringing Christmas to the First Nations.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
Good evening. The Prime Minister's chances of staying in power have become more tenuous today after NDP leader Jagmeet Singh, who backed the Liberal Party for years, announced his caucus will vote to bring down the government sometime in 2025 when Parliament resumes. This latest blow came just ahead of Justin Trudeau's arrival at Rideau Hall to shuffle his cabinet. CTV's Jeremy Sharon starts us off.
Prime Minister, how are you done reflecting?
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Perhaps a final word before the new year, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau offered only brief comments at the end of an historically difficult week for his government.
Prime Minister, are you going to step down? Are you considering proroguing?
We just had an excellent cabinet meeting that is almost entirely focused on the Canada-U.S. dynamic. We know how important it is for Canadians.
But Trudeau has yet to directly address Chrystia Freeland's sudden resignation on Monday, a bombshell move that led to this today.
I'm just excited to be here today.
A sizable shuffle aimed at strengthening and stabilizing Trudeau's cabinet, instead overshadowed by an NDP letter to Canadians that puts the Prime Minister's political future in further jeopardy. In that letter, NDP leader Jagmeet Singh says, no matter who is leading the Liberal Party, this government's time is up. We will put forward a clear motion of non-confidence in the next sitting of the House of Commons. And with that, Trudeau has lost all support in the House. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has been repeatedly pushing for an early election and is now taking his call a step further.
I will be writing the Governor General, asking her to urgently reconvene Parliament and require a non-confidence vote so the Prime Minister can judge whether he stays in power.
That coming as the Prime Minister made significant changes to his inner circle.
Why do you still have confidence in the Prime Minister?
Prime Minister is the Prime Minister.
Who today face repeated questions about their leader's future.
This is a time for unity. This is a time for us to stand together.
4 current cabinet ministers were moved into new positions or saw their portfolios change, while 8 new faces joined the Prime Minister's cabinet and are already facing a harsh reality.
I understand there's going to be a short runway. I'm not blind to that. But if I can make a small difference, if I can make a big difference, I want to make the biggest difference that I can. That's why I joined politics in the first place.
But the biggest question of the week remains unanswered. What will Trudeau's next move be?
The writing is on the wall. It's on the ceiling, it's on the carpet, it's everywhere.
And this all couldn't come at a more critical time for the country. U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's threat of tariffs now a month away, with concerns it could send Canada's economy into a recession. Heather?
Jeremy, thank you. Let's bring in CTV's chief political correspondent, Vikash Chakrales, for some more insight. Vikash, the Prime Minister has yet to officially address the country and address the real questions following a very tumultuous week.
Yeah, that clip today, the sort of only pronouncement or only comments he made to Canadians through the media was confounding, I think you could say, at the least, Heather. I get it, he was just briefly addressing what happened in cabinet, but that comes on the heels of a week where he said nothing, with MPs coming out and saying that he should resign, with Chrystia Freeland, his deputy prime minister, saying he's on the wrong track when it comes to his vision for this country. There was no direct communication with Canadians, just some comments to Liberal fundraisers as well as Liberal Party members members at a Christmas party. It is, to me, confounding that particularly at a time when this country is facing such a challenge with this potential threat of a tariff, the potential recession and trade war that would ensue, that he didn't feel it necessary to say more. It remains confounding to me. I'm very curious to see if that changes going forward.
Vashi, let's look at today's events then specifically. What do you make of this cabinet shuffle and really what options does he have going forward?
I mean, Heather, the shuffle is just window dressing at this point, particularly with the grenade the NDP launched, the prospect of the government falling as soon as February or March, for example, if it isn't prorogued. That means that these ministers are only there for a fixed amount of time, and there's really an expiration date somewhere already in place. As far as the prime minister's options, he's got two pragmatically, right? Stay or go. But when you think of what has happened this week, and like I said, those comments from the deputy prime minister calling into question his entire leadership, plus the outcome of the by-election where they got swamped by the Conservatives out in BC, plus the other by-elections, plus public opinion polling, it becomes very difficult to see how politically there's any other option other than to go, Heather.
Vashi, thank you for your insight as always. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre didn't just have Justin Trudeau in his sights today. We also heard how he would handle relations with the U.S. and Donald Trump.
He wants America to win. There's no question. But I want to show him that Canada can win at the same time. He will put America first. I will put Canada first, which is new and different. And I believe that we have overlapping interests and values. And I can say to the president, look, if we get richer in Canada because of our trade with you, we'll have a bigger, stronger military that protects your northern flank.
Poilievre also promising to repeal what he called anti-energy and anti-resource laws. He said American workers profit from underpriced Canadian oil and gas. He also noted that Canada will never be the 51st U.S. state. To developing news now from Germany, where a peaceful night at a traditional Christmas market turned to horror when a car slammed into a crowd. At least 2 people are dead and dozens more injured in what authorities believe was an attack. CTV's Joy Malbin on how the nightmare unfolded.
The Christmas market was packed just before the holiday, crammed with people doing last-minute shopping. Surveillance video shows a black BMW plowing into the crowds, an horrific scene that sent people flying and running in panic. Many tending to the wounded and injured on the ground. It looks like a mass casualty event. In a dramatic takedown, police arrested a 50-year-old Saudi doctor. He'd been working in Germany, part of the community, for 18 years. A bomb disposal team at the scene investigating possible explosives inside the rented car as officials try to determine why this happened. We are shaking, says this resident, and hope nothing has happened to our relatives and friends. These markets are popular in Germany and the target of terrorists, painfully similar to the 2016 Berlin attack at a Christmas market by an ISIS sympathizer who drove a truck into the crowd, killing 13 people. Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz posted on social media, "My thoughts are with the victims and their families." It comes at a time of political turmoil in Germany. The government has collapsed, facing snap elections next year. Police had been on high alert already.
People that conduct in the terrorist realm really look for anniversaries and really want to repeat those attacks. And a lot of things that they're going to be looking at now, and you're going to see an increased security here in the United States.
In fact, New York and Chicago are ramping up security around their Christmas markets. There's no specific threat, but simply being cautious. Heather?
Joy, thank you. And another tragic story emerging from Croatia today, where a 7-year-old was killed in a knife attack. It happened at a school in that country's capital. 3 other children and a teacher were also hurt. Police say the attacker, a former student, was arrested after trying to take his own life. Officials say he'd had mental health problems in the past. Saturday has been declared a day of mourning in the city. For the 3rd time in 7 months, a Jewish elementary school in Toronto has been hit by gunfire.
Parents are concerned, frustrated, in fear. Students are afraid, staff are afraid, and no one should be afraid to come to school. No one should be afraid sending their child to school.
Police say multiple suspects were seen firing a gun from inside a car just after 2:30 this morning. There was a similar incident in October on the day of Yom Kippur and another back in May. Police can't say whether the incidents are connected. The Prime Minister has responded, saying he is sickened by the news, calling this a hateful, anti-Semitic attack on Toronto's Jewish community. In Quebec, a triple murderer has been handed a life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years. On Monday, a jury convicted Mohamed Al-Balouz, who now identifies as a woman, in the crime. The judge described her as sadistic and remorseless. The court heard Al-Balouz stabbed her partner 23 times in their condo and then drank beer while planning to kill their 2 children. Balouz then tried to take her own life and set fire to the condo. A woman who impersonated nurses in several provinces has been sentenced to 7 years in prison by British Columbia's Supreme Court. Bridget Claro pleaded guilty to assault, fraud over $5,000, and using forged documents. She is currently serving another sentence for similar offenses in Ontario. Claro illegally treated nearly 1,000 patients in British Columbia alone. Winter officially arrives tomorrow, but snowfall warnings are already in effect as a nor'easter bears down on the Maritimes, just as holiday travel is ramping up. CTV's Paul Hollingsworth has more.
A nasty winter storm will soon hammer the Maritimes. Grocery stores are jammed as people scramble to stock up before taking shelter indoors. Snowfall warnings and hazardous conditions are in the forecast.
You don't know whether it's going to be heavy rain, heavy snow. I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty, but clearly it's going to be a real messy situation.
As drivers filled up pre-storm, they also discovered an increase in gas prices, anywhere from 1 cent a liter up to 3 cents, with similar price hikes happening in other parts of the country.
Not happy. It's expensive.
South of the border, Massachusetts and Wisconsin are also digging out. A white Christmas is not always guaranteed, but people sound happy and hopeful.
Absolutely good news. We've got young grandchildren, so they're going to love it.
Traditionally, you kind of think about the tree and then tobogganing down a hill, and so to get a little bit of that, I think, will be very nice.
This weather comes at a time when Canadians are preparing for a busy travel weekend. Travelers are encouraged to go online, check the airport listings for departures, delays, and updates. There's no shortage of snow to go around, especially in Quebec, Ontario, and Western Canada.
In Winnipeg, Saskatoon, Edmonton.
As a wintry white blanket rolls into many areas of Canada. Paul Hollingsworth, CTV News, Halifax.
The weather wasn't keeping people across Canada from getting out and spending their money. Christmas is just around the corner, and that had shoppers out in droves. And as CTV's Alison Bamford shows us, the recent GST tax holiday is topping the list.
What's supposed to be the most wonderful time of the year is also the busiest.
It's insane. The mall's insane. It's always insane.
Today, the last Friday before Christmas, is expected to be the busiest shopping day of the year, according to data from Interac. Since Black Friday sales have turned into a multi-day event, today winds up seeing the highest single-day concentration of sales. Last-minute holiday shoppers make up the bulk of business for retailers.
They're trying to avoid tomorrow. They know Saturday is going to be absolutely wild. So they're trying to get out on a Friday and beat the crowd, but everyone's thinking that, right?
Here at this downtown Saskatoon mall, shoppers are eager to escape the snow and enter the fury inside.
It's crazy in there. It's like shoulder to shoulder. I'm just getting rocked around like I'm playing hockey.
So what are they buying?
Some chocolates, Sephora gift cards, like baby clothes.
Many searching for the perfect gift for their loved ones.
We have a lot of family, big family, so there's going to be a lot of presents and money spent this year.
But according to Interac, restaurants, rather than retailers, will see the bulk of business today. This restaurant's increased staff for the weekend, expecting a holiday rush to cap off an already busy December.
You know, a lot of Christmas parties, a lot of people coming out, a lot of large tables. So yeah, it's a big one for us, and we try to capture as much as we can.
And retail experts think the GST break will give a bit of a boost too.
People are going to get out and say, hey, I can dine and I won't have any tax on it. You know, so it's going to give a nice little lift, a nice little uplift to to consumers and to businesses for sure.
Today may be the peak for businesses, but shoppers will still be out in full force right up until Christmas Eve, although holiday spending overall is expected to be down this year. Heather?
Allison, thanks. Spending definitely on the minds of members of the U.S. House of Representatives as they voted in favor of a bill that will avoid a government shutdown. The bill passed with overwhelming support, with just 34 Republicans rejecting it. Millions of federal employees would have had to work without pay. The legislation extends government funding through March and will also provide $110 billion to help farmers and disaster relief. Health authorities are issuing a warning tonight about a possible measles exposure at Canada's busiest airport. Toronto Public Health says the case was detected on an Emirates Airlines flight from Dubai to Toronto on December 8th. Travelers on that flight, as well as people who were inside Pearson Airport's Terminal 1 that day, could have been exposed. Coming up, another attempt at solving a decade-old mystery.
This is a case that fascinates millions of people, and it should.
What's behind the renewed search for missing flight MH370? Plus, a special visitor for kids in remote Canadian communities. It's one of the biggest mysteries in aviation history. Now, more than 10 years after Malaysia Airlines flight MH370 vanished, the search is back on. CTV's Sarah Plowman has more.
No one knows exactly what happened, why flight MH370 went off course, off radar, why it crashed. A decade-long mystery with a new mission to solve it.
A new area estimated at 15,000 square kilometers in the southern Indian Ocean.
Malaysia has agreed in principle to task marine robotics company Ocean Infinity to search the seabed. If the wreckage is found, Malaysia will pay the company $70 million. If not, it won't.
The proposed new search area, identified by Ocean Infinity, is based on the latest information and data.
This crash has mystified experts worldwide. In March 2014, the Boeing 777 was on its way from Malaysia's capital, Kuala Lumpur, to Beijing when it turned and vanished off radar, with 239 people on board, including 2 Canadians.
This airplane left, controlled airspace and flew for probably hours in uncontrolled airspace.
Pieces washed ashore. A multinational search in the southern Indian Ocean ended in 2017 without success. So did a search by Ocean Infinity the following year. There have been theories and widespread speculation about what happened, that the pilot intentionally crashed the plane, that there was a mechanical issue or a cyber attack.
This is a great mystery, and it really is incumbent on the authorities to solve it. I think we let it go too easily. This is a case that fascinates millions of people, and it should. This is not a problem that should have been let to slip through our grasp.
Malaysian officials say the specifics of the deal are still being worked out. The search would start next year and could last 18 months. Heather.
Sarah, thank you. Still ahead tonight. Tapping into the holiday spirit, a special elf celebrates the last day of school.
The one and only Mr. Ringo Starr!
To the thunderous applause from fans, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr reunited on stage to play some Beatles classics. The legendary duo played hit after hit on the last night of McCartney's Got Back tour in London. Well, King Charles was keeping the conversation light as he met with volunteers and faith leaders in East London today.
Good morning, how are you? I'm still alive.
He made the comment as we get word his cancer treatment is progressing well. That's according to a palace source who told Reuters the king's treatment will continue into the new year. In February, the palace announced he'd been diagnosed with an unspecified cancer found after a procedure for an enlarged prostate. Naughty drivers in the Florida Keys are getting a surprise gift, and it's not a lump of coal.
We are live with the Grinch here in Key Largo.
He's been dubbed the Grinch Cop, and he works with other officers in a school zone to get drivers to slow down and get off their phones. Those who are caught have two options, a ticket or an onion. The officer has been doing this for more than 20 years and says every single driver has taken the onion. Well, you may have heard of the Elf on the Shelf holiday tradition. Well, meet this life-size version.
Santa gave you a job, you have to do it.
That is Tony Ward, the head custodian at St. Paul's Catholic School in Kitchener, Ontario. For years, he's dressed up as an elf around Christmas, appearing in places all over the school. Staff and students say Ward goes above and beyond to give kids excitement and joy on the last day before the Christmas break. Ward on the board. All right, still ahead, bringing holiday joy to Canada's north. Santa's early visit makes for a magical Christmas. We leave you tonight with some Christmas cheer spreading through Manitoba's remote communities. Santa and some hardworking elves traveled north by plane to help make the holidays a little brighter. CTV's Alex Karpa went along for the ride.
Santa didn't need his reindeer or sleigh to spread holiday cheer. Instead, he used a plane to travel to several Manitoba First Nations communities. I was lucky enough to ride with Santa on the Manitoba Kuwaitanoe Okamakinak Santa Express, which made 5 stops throughout the day Thursday, including in one of Manitoba's most remote and northern communities. Families were lined up to see jolly old Saint Nick in the flesh.
The kids get all excited when they know that Santa's coming in. So this has been going on for quite a while now. So the kids always look forward to that.
It's all part of an initiative and partnership with Perimeter Airlines that started back in 2009 to bring Santa and his helpers to remote and northern communities.
In the cities, they have Santas in malls and supermarkets and everywhere else. But in the north, there's very little opportunity for kids to have something like this. So we're bringing Christmas to the First Nations, we're bringing Santa to the First Nations, and it's been very exciting.
Those in the community say Santa's visit is inspiring.
It's a joy, a moment of joy. And like, you're here now, it's really cold up north and everyone's kind of indoors. It's a good way to bring people out and come see Santa.
The MKO Santa Express visited 22 communities throughout this week. MKO will continue this gift of giving next year and hope to expand the number of stops. Alex Karpa, CTV News, Winnipeg.
A beautiful way to celebrate the season. That is our newscast for this Friday night. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. I'm Heather Butts. Good night, and I'll see you again tomorrow.